Hello, folks. So just a little update on the my wife's Lexus RX300. I'm getting the P code p0304, which is cylinder 4 misfire, and I'm getting p1300 and p030, which is multiple misfire. So yesterday I spent a whole deal of moving the coils and the injectors because even I knew, and somebody mentioned that and reminded me that injectors can cause a misfire code. So cylinder 2 injector right here, I actually swapped with the good cylinder that wasn't spitting out a code, these two. So I moved them, just swapped them. And even though I had measured the voltage, which was around 14 volts from both, even the one that was in the bad cylinder, that was coming out at 14 volts correctly, near around 14. So I've moved coils. And it's kind of focusing on this bank right here, the front bank. I don't know if that's bank 2. I can't remember by the book. But no matter what I do as far as moving coils, it still spits out that code. And I have a spark checker, which you can buy them at Harbor Freight or whatever. You put the coil on and put it over the spark plug, and you can see it's got the visible spark to show that it's working. The coil's working, and it is working. So I am perplexed. I even took off the computer, the glove box, and my wife's dirty interior, she drops coffee all over the place. I even took the terminals off the ECU, which kind of filters into the firewall. Originally I said in that first video I made, I thought it was maybe the harness, because the harness starts all over here. And you could see this being a 99 Lexus, and that's the other part I'll cover real quick. That, the plastic here, the retaining clip that houses all the wiring is the top's broke off. But here's the track of the wiring. It kind of goes from here and it goes through into the firewall, into the ECU, which is the engine control unit. But here's the thing. And my wife has made a comment about she doesn't want to buy a car under duress, but we have milked this car. We bought this car in 2008 with 125,000 miles on it. It's a 99 Lexus RX300, and it was like brand new. The person who had it took really good care of it. And she's put on, it's got 390,000 miles and some change. Like 390 and like 200 miles or something like that. I mean, really, what more can you ask? I know she's wanting to go at least 500,000 with this. And, I tell her, with proper maintenance, because I do the oil changes and every 3,000, around every 3,000, 3,500. I use Quaker State. I don't use anything fancy or mobile. And I even use conventional oil or the synthetic blend. I don't, these older engines, they run fine with that, and just keep changing the oil sooner rather than, doing what some people do is they put in synthetic and try to go longer because of the cost. Like they say, you're better off just using a little bit lesser expensive oil that's at least meets certifications, and changing it more often, because it's just better maintenance. But at 390,000, I think we can't ask much more out of this. Do I want to solve this problem? Yeah. Now I'm on a mission to solve this problem, because that's just my natural course of thinking. I have to solve this problem. Even if she went and bought a car this week, and she was looking at, this is a 99 Lexus RX300, like I said. She was looking at she really likes the look of the NX200T, which was only built a couple years, and that was based off the previous generation RAV4 platform. I think they only made it like 2 years, and they replaced it with I want to say it's a different NX or something. I forget what model they replaced it with, but it's based off the current RAV4, which was redesigned in 2019. And my sister's got that one. It's really nice. But she came from a Pontiac when we first got married back in 2001, around 2001. I can't remember. I'm getting too old. She'll kill me for that. When we got married, she had a Pontiac 2002 Sunfire that her family guided her into buying, and that car had a lot of issues. So this was her first foray into luxury. And like I said, when we bought this car, it was like brand new. It was so good that usually Lexus dealers, when they get a used car, now this is 2008, so this is a 99. It was already a 9-year-old vehicle, but it was still on the lot. They didn't send it to auction. And that says something. I think they had a relationship with the customer that traded it in for a newer Lexus. So we paid $8,500 for it, I think. I thought that was high back then for something with 125,000, because I knew that these things are just basically Toyota. You know, this is the Highlander with some rebadging and a couple of luxury bits, but they're not. You know, they never were trying to fool anybody. This is nothing more than a Highlander with a 6-cylinder. And that's all the Lexus is it's just basically the already great Toyota with a little bit more luxury bits on it to try to up brand it. And now I think my wife's hooked on the Lexus badge, which is bad because today, as we stand in 2023 in June, at the tail end of June, used car prices are high. I'm looking at, so she mentioned the 200X, and the 200T, and they only made that a few years, and I'm seeing them like, 2,500 with almost 100,000 miles on it. And it's like, God, do you want to really? And then I tried to point her to the RAV4 of the same years, because I really like the older body design, I think it's the 2012 to 2018 RAV4. We rented 2 of those out when we went to Colorado and Las Vegas, because we're in Illinois. We wanted a newer car for a long trip like that, because we didn't want to take this baby because we had 2 dogs, and the heat and stuff. So we rented a 2018 RAV4, which is that previous generation, and for some reason I'm more glued to that design, that a little bit slightly older design, than the current RAV4. I'm just the new RAV4 with the floating. To each his own. I mean, it's a nice vehicle, but I just prefer the older one. And that 200T that she's looking at on the Lexus side is, I think, the 2016, 2017. And again, I think that was only made a couple of years. Those were based off the older generation RAV4 from 2012 to 2017, or 2018, I'm sorry. But it adds a turbo, which I don't like, because we tend to keep our cars 15 years plus, which we're on year 15 with this. But so getting back to, so that's the problem. One is if you're forced to buy a car, like she says, she hates to be under duress. Well, that may be what happens. I would like to say, at this point, I would turn it over to a Toyota tech, but I've read stories on the Lexus forums and the Toyota forums where they've turned over techs and they've had the car for over like 2 weeks and the tech can't even figure it out. And I'm pretty much doing diagnostics where I'm, pulling the codes from the inside. I'm clearing them. I'm swapping out coils. I'm moving injectors. Today I am going to, now I did the timing belt about 5 years ago before we went on a trip to Colorado. Actually, the night before, it was pretty stressful. And I'm going to pull this off to see if the timing belt has changed teeth. But I don't think that's the case. But I won't know until I look. I don't think a mass airflow sensor would throw these kind of codes out. Like I said, I'm getting a p1300, a p3, a p030, and a p0304, which is cylinder 4. 300 is random misfire. I forget. I think 1300 pertains to misfire 2. I forgot that already. Sorry, it's early morning. I had my coffee. But this is like day 3 of trying to troubleshoot this issue, and it's driving me nuts. And now I'm on a pursuit to not let this thing beat the crap out of me. And like I said, I lost my spark plug. What did I do with it? I lost my spark plug detector. Now, and I know, I got it somewhere. My spark detector, it's like $4.99 at Harbor Freight. I lost the one I had, so I had to go, oh, here it is. I had to go buy another one. Now, the thing is, like I said, I checked voltage on each injector, and they're around 14 ohms. And I pulled these out, and I'm trying to do it with one hand. It's a pain in the, you know what? Hold on, I'll set you down for 1 second. There we go. And like I said, okay, so this is the coil. So you can check the pins. So this is pin 1. This is power, 12 volt. This is ground. This is the, I've seen some wiring, a couple people explain these, but I think they got it backwards. At least maybe it changes from model year to model year, but this is the 5 volt. The second one is, I think, the feedback to the ECU. And if anybody thinks, if any knows different, let me know. And the third one is the actual, from the left, is the actual one that sends a signal back up there if the coil's hiccuping or if there's a spark issue. So I'm going to do a compression check also on cylinder 4. Like I said, at 390, you could have, you know, sticking rings still, even with the oil changes. Yeah, it could be anything with this kind of mileage on it, but I know people get a little cocky with these Lexus, especially these older late 90s ones and mid 90s, especially with that LS400. That's the million mile, I think, on the original engine. I'm not sure if it's on the original transmission, but people hear that story and they think, well, I'm going to get 1,000,000 miles out of my Lexus. Well, you know, that may not be the case with every one. You can do the best maintenance to your due diligence, and the fact that we live in Illinois, I mean, this car is, you know, it's my wife drive with her parents being taking care of her parents. You can't see it, but it's getting rust right here, which is typical Illinois. You know, it's underneath those panels. This year had these body different colored plastic panels, so water got under in between that and the body shell, and with the salt over the years, is starting to rust on both sides. So, you know, like I said, maybe it's time to really get serious about looking for another car. But I'm on day 3, and this thing, like I said, I would love to. I'm almost at a point where I would turn it over to a Toyota Lexus mechanic, but I'm not sure, you know, what other further things. I mean, I had this whole fuel rail. You know, you have to take all this is the fuel rail for this side off. You have to take all this off. It's not that hard. And move the wires up, and then you can move the injectors. And of course, you know, the seals aren't the greatest because it's from 99, but they actually surprisingly still look fit kind of snug and look, you know, I put a little silicone, but I was very light on those because you don't want to induce silicone into the fuel system just to make it, you know, slide in a little bit better, so to speak. And but if anybody's got any other ideas, I'd appreciate any input. This is the 1ZFE, I think, engine, the 6 from 99, 1ZMFE or something. I forget the exact number, but this is the tried and true V6. It's a very reliable V6, but like I said, with 390,000, I'm going to be doing, at least with this cylinder, I'm going to be checking to see what the compression is. I'm going to see if I could do a leak down test, but I'm just not sure. I'm not sure. What I'm trying to fathom in my mind is how much of the ECU of this generation, the older generation, can sense problems beyond the spark. I mean, can this ECU sense that a spark plug is actually not sparking? Because I know with this third wire, it gets feedback to like the control unit in each one, because these have ignition control units in each coil when they went to these individual coilover plugs. And can it detect anything beyond that? I mean, how far of diagnosing can it pick up? I'm wondering if it's just this more simplistic where it just says, hey, I'm not working correctly, and that sends a message to the computer. But I mean, I could take all these 3 coils out and put them on this spark, which is clear. You see and they all fire consistently the same. So it's getting spark. The plugs are they're the Iradium NGKs, the 6XI. And I think they're probably around 80 to 100,000. So I had to take them out and gap them. But as far as I can tell, they're working. I mean, I'm going to order another set of plugs anyways. But you know, you get to a point where if this is turning into a serious mechanical problem, you don't want to be buying a lot of parts. Like I said, we got our money's worth out of this car. We're like $8,500 in 2008. My wife, for many years, she's a runaround kid. She likes to drive all over the place, and she's active, and she was putting on at least 25,000 miles. And her job is only 9 miles away from our home. She works, 9.5 miles away. Most of her miles was done just running around, just doing her activities, because she's just an active, person. So any suggestions, I would greatly appreciate it. Any input, anything else to try. Like I said, I don't think a mass airflow sensor, when you unplug a mass airflow sensor while it's running, the engine does die. But I've taken it off and cleaned that with CRC mass airflow sensor cleaner, the wire. It had some junk buildup, and it cleaned it silver. What else? So I'm gonna pull the timing cover off. I used when I did the job about 5 years ago. I did use, it could be 6 years ago. Now I'm thinking, and I know it's got close to over 110,000 miles, so it's about 20 over. But I pulled belts out, and this is a non-interference engine, this generation, this 99 to 2003 RX300 Lexus. So if the belt snaps, you don't want to get it to that point. But I've taken belts off that were, 1.5 times, and the belts still look like in great condition. So I'd be really surprised if like the tensioner took a dump and is not, is causing this to actually jump teeth. If I could just find out what's going on, it would make it in my mind, because now I'm not going to give up. It's going to drive me nuts. Even if my wife gets a car tomorrow or this week, I'm still going to fix this damn car. This is not beating me. Unless it's a piston ring problem or something else, or the cylinder's taking a dump, or it's just zero compression in this cylinder, the one that's acting up. And that's the problem, is you're getting random misfires, and it's saying cylinder p0304, and it's pointing to the cylinder. But these generations were kind of notorious for saying this cylinder and it's another cylinder. Now, that's not been most of the case, because when a coil when the Nippon, the Denso coils, the originals, each took a crap, it did. I had to clear the code first, because it had multiple coils that were, when it happened, and you got the check engine light flashing, which is typical of a coil failure on these cars, until you get home and change it or fix it. It's designed to drive you nuts with that thing flat, and you don't want to let it go, because it can ruin the catalytic converter too long. But you want to get home and get it changed. But when you first read the codes and you put your code scanner on the connector and you read it, you get multiple misfires of multiple cylinders. What you usually have to do is clear that code, drive it around a little bit longer until it spits out the specific 1 or 2 codes, and that's how you usually find it. The other way is, like many people show on YouTube, is they jump coils. They know if it's, and you can unplug it while it's running. What's really ironic is this thing's loping so bad, and I swear there's something else going on, because I get nothing when I unplug this one. But yet, if I put this on, I put this spark on here, it's showing spark. And I've rotated the spark plug, I've taken that out, I've gapped them all, and I've swapped spark plugs too. So if it was a bad spark plug originally in 4, I moved it to 2. This is 2, 4, 6. Is 1, 3, 5 on that side. In the back, the hard to get to side, that's pain in the rear. When I do, just a recommendation, whenever you try on these 6 cylinders, and they're eventually getting to a point where people are replacing them with newer cars, but if you have to do coils, you can do it without, and I've had this all apart, because I've had to change knock sensors out. I've had this whole plenum off, and I put in gaskets and stuff. But you can do the, just for a coil and plug, you can do it. It's not fun, but you have to take the cruise control bracket off, and the wire, the cable here, you have to take that off. But don't let any mechanic or anybody tell you that you have to take it off. It's not fun. But there's one right there. You can see one. There's the connector for one. 3's in the middle and 5's at the end. So it can be done without taking a plenum off. But like I said, any input, I would really greatly appreciate it. Any ideas where to go next? Okay, thanks.